In a world where our minds never stop talking, where self-doubt whispers louder than truth and overthinking steals the silence, there was a man who lived in his head more than he lived in the real world. But what if you could break free from that noise? What if you could train your mind like a muscle, shape your thoughts like clay, and finally take back control? This is the story of Ayaan, story of reclaiming peace, one thought at a time. And maybe it's your story too. How to overcome wasteful thoughts. A life-changing story, breaking the loop. Ayaan sat at his desk, his fingers frozen over the keyboard. The numbers on the screen blurred together, and the words in the email he was drafting seemed meaningless. He had been staring at the same spreadsheet for nearly an hour, unable to progress. His mind wasn't on the work, it was on something far more destructive. A constant barrage of thoughts. You're not good enough. You should be further ahead in your career by now. Everyone else is doing better than you. If they knew how you felt, they wouldn't respect you. The thoughts were relentless, spiraling, and he couldn't escape them. At 28, Ayaan had a decent job at a prestigious consulting firm. He had friends who admired him, a comfortable apartment, and a life that many people would envy. But none of that mattered when the self-doubt crept in. It was like a shadow following him everywhere, whispering that he wasn't enough and never measured up. He shifted in his chair and glanced at the clock. It was 8:00 p.m., and he was still at the office trying to get some work done. But it wasn't the deadlines or the workload that kept him it was the fear of being alone with his thoughts. When he was alone, the doubts would rise, and he'd start replaying every mistake he had ever made. His phone buzzed. It was a message from his colleague, Priya. "Priya, are you still at the office? You've been here for hours. Take a break, Ayaan, you need it." Ayaan stared at the message. He knew she was right. He needed to step away from his work, but every time he thought about leaving, the voice inside his head told him he wasn't allowed to rest. "You haven't done enough today. You're not finished. You can't leave yet." So, he ignored her and typed back a quick reply. "Ayaan, just finishing up a few things. I'll be fine." But he wasn't fine. He was exhausted, mentally and physically. The constant pressure to be perfect was wearing him down, and he couldn't remember the last time he felt truly at peace. The next morning, Ayaan woke up late. He'd barely slept, tossing and turning all night as the cycle of self-criticism played over and over in his mind. He dragged himself out of bed, dressed in a hurry, and rushed to the office, skipping breakfast. The moment he entered the building, he felt the weight of the day's expectations settle on his shoulders. The pressure to perform, prove his worth, and show that he was competent was overwhelming. He made his way to his desk and opened his email. The first message was from his boss, Mark, asking for an update on the project they were working on. Ayaan felt his stomach tighten. He had been avoiding the task, dreading the moment when he would have to report on his progress. He had been stuck, unable to make any headway, consumed by the fear that he wasn't good enough. He started typing a response, but his mind was clouded. He couldn't focus. His thoughts kept drifting back to the idea that he was failing, that everyone else around him was succeeding while he was stagnant. His fingers hovered over the keys, and the pressure mounted. He felt trapped in his own mind. It was around lunchtime when Priya stopped by his desk again. This time, she didn't just ask how he was doing. She sat down beside him. "Ayaan," she said gently, "you've been working non-stop for days. I get that you're under a lot of pressure, but you can't keep going like this. You need to take care of yourself or you'll burn out." Ayaan didn't respond at first. He didn't know how to explain it. The truth was, he didn't feel like he deserved a break. He didn't feel like he had earned it. His mind was trapped in a cycle of self-judgment, where he believed that if he stopped working, even for a moment, he was lazy or unworthy. "I'll be fine," he said, finally looking up at her. Priya raised an eyebrow. "No, you won't. Ayaan, you're one of the smartest, most capable men I know, but you're killing yourself with all these negative thoughts. You have to break the cycle." Ayaan shifted uncomfortably. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Priya said, "you have to stop letting your mind control you. You can't keep feeding these thoughts that tell you you're not enough. It's like a weed. If you don't pull it out, it'll keep growing." Ayaan stared at her, surprised. He had never really thought about it like that. He had always assumed that his thoughts were just something he had to accept. But Priya was right. His mind was filled with weeds thoughts of inadequacy, failure, and self-doubt. And if he didn't do something about it, they would keep growing. That night, after another long day at work, Ayaan sat in his apartment, unable to sleep. The voice in his head was louder than ever, reminding him of every mistake he had ever made, every opportunity he had missed. "You're not good enough. You're behind. You're going to fail." But then something shifted. He remembered what Priya had said about weeds, and for the first time, Ayaan realized something important. He didn't have to let these thoughts control him. He couldn't stop the thoughts from coming, but he could choose how he responded to them. He pulled out his phone and started searching for ways to change his thinking. He stumbled upon an article about mindfulness and how it could help train the mind to focus on the present moment instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. The more he read, the more it resonated with him. The next day, he decided to try something different. He wouldn't fight his thoughts. He wouldn't try to push them away. Instead, he would observe them. He would notice them and then redirect his focus. At work the next morning, Ayaan caught himself starting to spiral into negative thinking. He was about to beat himself up for not making more progress on his project when he remembered his new approach. Instead of getting lost in the cycle, he paused. Notice the thought. Name it. Redirect. This thought tells me, "I'm not enough, but I know that's not true. I am capable. I am doing my best, and that's enough." He took a deep breath and refocused on his task. He didn't let the thought control him. He kept working one step at a time. And he did the same thing when another thought popped up, telling him he wasn't good enough. He acknowledged it, then chose not to let it dominate his mind. Over the next few weeks, Ayaan made minor changes. He began practicing mindfulness every morning for 10 minutes before work. He wrote down his thoughts in a journal, identifying the negative ones and replacing them with positive affirmations. He even started talking to himself like he would talk to a friend, encouraging, supportive, and understanding. It wasn't easy. The weeds of doubt still tried to grow. But now, Ayaan knew how to pull them out before they took root. The more he practiced, the easier it became to redirect his mind. His thoughts no longer controlled him. He had learned how to train his mind like a muscle, strengthening the positive, peaceful thoughts and weakening the negative ones. Slowly, his life began to change. Months later, Ayaan walked into the office with a new sense of calm. He wasn't perfect, but he was at peace. He was still ambitious and driven, but he no longer felt he had to prove his worth to anyone. He had stopped listening to the voice of self-doubt, choosing instead to listen to the voice of confidence and clarity. One afternoon, Priya stopped by his desk again. "You seem different," she said, smiling. "More relaxed, more present." Ayaan smiled back. "I've been training my mind, and it's working." She nodded. "I'm proud of you, Ayaan. You're finally learning to let go of the thoughts that don't serve you." Ayaan looked out the window, his mind clear. He had learned to overcome wasteful thoughts, not by fighting them, but by choosing which ones to nurture.